The 1996 and 1997 college football season was once again ripe with controversy as the season came to a close, this stemming from the Big Ten and the Pac-10's non-participation in the Bowl Alliance. This caused number 1 undefeated Florida State to play number 3 Florida in the Sugar Bowl, while number 2 undefeated Arizona State played number 4 Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. In the end, both undefeateds lost, as Florida got revenge for the sole loss of the season, thumping Florida State 52-20. While Ohio State marched back in the final minutes to upset Arizona State 20-17. But what if the college football postseason had existed as it does today, and all these 4 teams got a shot at the national title through a playoff? We start things off in the Fiesta Bowl as number 1 undefeated Florida State takes on number 4 Ohio State. Florida State starts the scoring early as Thad Busby finds Andre Cooper deep. Ohio State responds with this short field goal, but Florida State would come back with one of their own, and then would follow that up with this Thad Busby to Melvin Pearsall touchdown. But Ohio State would respond with this Stanley Jackson to Demetrius Stanley shovel pass touchdown, and then would follow that up with this field goal. And then later, Stanley Jackson would find Buster Tillman for the lead. But that lead doesn't last long as Thad Busby finds E.G. Green deep. But they get it right back as Stanley Jackson finds Demetrius Jackson for another score. But Florida State would come back and tie things up with this field goal. As time is running out in the first half, Thad Busby finds Andre Cooper deep to retake the lead. But Stanley Jackson, not wanting to be shown up heading into halftime, finds Demetrius Stanley deep to tie things up heading into half. Florida State comes out swinging in the start of the second half as Busby finds Cooper deep over the middle to reclaim the lead. And then they would tack on this field goal. And then Thad Busby would get in for the score on this designed quarterback run. Ohio State would finally get back on the board with this field goal. On their next drive, Stanley Jackson looks left, but his pass is picked off by Vernon Crawford, who sees nothing but green as he returns it all the way in for the touchdown. Stanley Jackson bounces back though, as he finds Buster Tillman in double coverage for a 29-yard score. And they're not done yet, as Stanley Jackson finds Demetrius Stanley for yet another score. Florida State finally responds with his field goal. Ohio State responds right away with his short touchdown pass to Nicky Sualua. But as time is expiring in the fourth, Thad Busby finds Andre Cooper in the back of the end zone. Florida State holds on to win it, 68-58, to advance to the national championship. We now head over to the Orange Bowl between Arizona State and Florida. The scoring starts as Jake Plummer hits Keith Poole for the touchdown early in the first. Florida would respond quickly though, as Danny Werfel would hit Ike Hillard deep for the score. But things would go poorly on their next drive, as Jerome Evans is able to break away from several tackles, but then he's lit up and fumbled, and Arizona State is able to recover the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. The Sun Devil offense would score once again as Jake Plummer finds Steve Bush on the sideline, who is able to get in for the score. Florida responds though as Danny Werfel hits Riddle Anthony for a score. After being given loads of time in the pocket, Jake Plummer is able to find Steve Bush for another touchdown. Florida would come right back though, as Danny Werfel finds Ike Hillard deep for another score. And they would follow that up with this short field goal. And then they would take the lead as Danny Werfel finds Riddle Anthony for another score. But the lead would be short-lived as Jake Plummer finds Keith Poole over the middle, who breaks the tackle and gets in for the score. Florida would then cut the Sun Devil lead to just 1 with this field goal. They would then turn that 1-point deficit into a 2-point surplus with this field goal. But it doesn't last though, as Jake Plummer once again finds Keith Poole for another score. But they would miss the extra point, and Florida would respond to that by making the 37-yard field goal. And then they would take the lead by making this 45-yard field goal. But the lead doesn't last as Jake Plummer finds Michael Martin coming out of the backfield for a touchdown. And they would tack on another score late as Arizona State goes on to beat Florida 55-43 to advance to the national championship game. We now head over to the national championship between number 1 Florida State and number 2 Arizona State. The scoring starts early in the first as Thad Busby finds Melvin Pearsall for the score. Arizona State would tie things up quickly though as Jake Plummer finds Keith Poole for the touchdown. And then they would take the lead as Jake Plummer finds Keith Poole deep over the middle. They would then follow that up with Jake Plummer hitting Keith Poole for yet another score. Not long after that they would score again, but this time with a touchdown pass to Steve Bush. We now fast forward to midway through the third, where Arizona State holds a 44-35 9-point lead, while Florida State is just about to cut that, as Thad Busby finds a wide-open Andre Cooper to cut the lead down to 2. They would then take their first lead since their opening possession on this Thad Busby to Andre Cooper touchdown pass. They would then extend that new lead to 8 with this field goal. Arizona State comes back though as Jake Plummer hits Kevin Poole over the middle, who is able to get in with a 44-yard score and bring up a shot to tie with a 2-point conversion. And they do, as Jake Plummer hits Terry Battle out of the backfield. And they then retake the lead as Jake Plummer hits Isaiah Mustafa for the touchdown. Florida State would cut that new lead down to 4 with this field goal. They would then take a 3-point lead as Thad Busby hits E.G. Green for the touchdown. But with just under 2 minutes remaining, Arizona State would reclaim the lead with this touchdown pass to Steve Bush. But Florida State would come back quickly, and less than 30 seconds later, they would be reclaiming the lead with this short touchdown pass to Andre Cooper. Florida State holds on to win it in a game full of comebacks, 69-66, to claim the national championship.